he's still a shit FPL player. He isn't built for the game.
No.
One of these teams is getting ripped to shreds. I have a forfeit that I'm putting out to anyone who wants a forfeit against me. What I'm basically saying, I'm backing myself this year to beat everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Ball. We are back and we're here to stay.
He's right. And this week we are joined by John Nellis, who's an FPL expert. He's going to be giving us tips and pointers to guarantee you win your FPL League.
Let's get into it. Today, guys, we're joined by John Nellis, FPL expert, everybody.
Thanks for coming on, John. I must start things off by saying I need some huge help.
He does.
Anyone that was in our league last year, it was a catastrophic performance from myself. So, on behalf of myself and all of the viewers, I can't wait for you to guarantee me a Champions League space in our FPL.
Any advice is useful though, John.
Yeah, please.
Any advice?
Help me.
I'll try my best. Disclaimer, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily an expert, but I've been digging really deep this season because I've took over a YouTube channel, an FPL YouTube channel. But the last couple of seasons have been really weird because obviously COVID kind of ruined everything. Project Restart. There was lots of different things happening that maybe made the game not quite as fun. It was less predictable for people who want to kind of play it casually, and the nerds really excelled. People who dug into the data, projected fixtures, came out on top. But I think we could be back this season to the FPL we all knew and loved maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So let's get stuck into it.
Perfect, yeah.
So basically no excuses then, John.
None this season, no. And I know everyone watching, everyone's used to, playing it for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks and then you realise you're crap and give up. But maybe this is the season you come out on top and win your mini league and get some cash off your mates.
I like that. I like
Absolutely.
that. So, Jord, fire us away with a question.
Okay, John, so where should we be looking to focus the large bulk of money this year? Obviously, there's quite a lot of value floating around. What do you reckon?
This season, it's kind of stood out, the defence, so everyone's kind of calling it big at the back. So what we've seen in previous seasons is people will normally rock like a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2, something like that, a 4-3-3 on the game. But this season, everyone seems to be going 5-3-2. Or even maybe a 5-4-1, and that formation is just because there's so much value in defence. Trent's coming in at 7.5 million, which is maybe $500,000 $1 million cheaper than expected. A couple of the Chelsea lads, Reece James, Chilwell, coming in at 6 million. There's even goalkeepers coming in 5.5 million who are premium, who in previous seasons might have cost 6. Robertson 7. There's Perisic at 5.5 at Spurs. There's just an abundance of wing back options at really affordable prices. And for the millions you spend on them, they're probably going to outscore their counterparts further up the pitch.
Yeah.
So I'd say, where is the value this season? It's 100% in fullbacks.
Yeah. They definitely guarantee you an X amount of points as well, don't they?
If you're getting the likes of the Trents, the Robbos, and I didn't even mention Cancelo in, those are teams that are getting 21, 22 clean sheets a season. That's a lot of points before you even take into account assists and goals. So with these attacking fullbacks, for 7 million or so, they're way better value than sort of the midfielders and forwards at that price point.
Yeah.
You're selling it to me. So build from the back. So, that links on to my next question, John, because what I normally do, which is probably the opposite what you should do, I'll go through striker, midfield, defence and get a couple of worldies in there. Big dollar, and then build my team around it with some lesser quality. So do you go for the big names and build around, or do you try and get a better spread of quality?
A lovely spread.
So, a lovely spread. So it's one of those where I think one of the big mistakes people make is they put too much money into their bench. So, you really need to prioritise the starting 11 and then have a couple of bench options that, at worst case, if one of your guys doesn't start, they come on and give you a point or two. So one of these really cheap guys who'll play, but you're not expecting much from. Because what people tend to do is they take a few million off the starting 11 and stick it into slightly stronger subs. That's not what you should really do. You should be, as we talked about, let's say the big at the back that we spoke about, let's say you go for 5 really good sort of defenders, a nice keeper. You can realistically put in the likes of a Salah, you can pick a Kane or a Holland, maybe another 7-8 million forward, and then a couple of midfielders in the 5-6 million range. That's a really nice team. The mistake people will make is, if the bench options that should be 4 million, 4.5 million fodder, if they're all of a sudden 5-6 million options, you're having to take away from the likes of Kane's and change them into Watkins.
Sure. Yeah.
You're having to go from a Salah and downgrade to the likes of a Madison. I don't know, but basically I would say 6, 7, 8 strong players, 3 or 4 passable, like decent players, and then 2 or 3 bench fodder that you're not expecting much from.
Yeah.
Spreading it across the team is just a big mistake.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
Sounds good. That sounds
Fair,
good.
fair. John, this year, who do you think offers or represents the best value as an asset in terms of price fluctuations or just in general?
This season, a player who came in about 3 million cheaper than last season is Marcus Rashford. Now, there are reasons for that. He didn't play great last season. But if Rashford comes back in and plays like he has done in seasons gone by in FPL, where he was a 9-10 million player, he's 6.5 starting this season, so I'll be watching him keenly in pre-season. And another one I really like, and I'm probably going to mention his name a few times today, and this is kind of the rock I'll perish on if he does terribly. Bruno Guimaraes, when he came into Newcastle, he topped charts for all sorts of XGs and XAs within that team. Newcastle spending big this summer as well. I think they could be a real force next year. You know, they aren't the Newcastle of seasons gone by. They could genuinely challenge for top 8, top 6, and they will win games 2-3, 4-0. So Bruno Guimaraes at 6 million, I think he can hang with the 8 million mids, and I think towards the end of the season he'll be a 7 million player, no problem. But maybe I'm wrong.
Definitely interesting. Okay, John, so another area where I probably go wrong is when to use your coins. So when do you think you should start to look at using some of the coins we have available?
I mean, John, you can tell how much of an amateur is because he's just called them coins and not tokens, but...
I wasn't going to say, but yeah. So I think the thing that makes this season so different from a wildcard strategy, I mean, the chips and the other tokens, I mean, they can wait till later in the season. You know, they're ones for late season when there's double game weeks, blank game weeks, so let's forget about them for now. But when it comes to wildcards, they're kind of what we can strategize about very early, where this season's very different is that it's going to almost be a series of like 4 sprints as opposed to a marathon, and that's because of the World Cup. So the World Cup's going to come on like game week 17, which is like a bonus wildcard. So the way you should almost view this season is the first game week you can build your team, then you can play up to maybe about game week 8, pop a wildcard, and then from 8 to 16 you play those fixtures, and then you'll have the World Cup where you'll get to reset your team again. We're getting unlimited transfers over the World Cup. You come back, play for another 5, 6, 7, 8 game weeks, pop your second wild card, and then play for the last 8 to 10 game weeks. So it's almost like 4 little games of 8 game weeks, as opposed to, you know, having to really strategize. So it's a very different season where people can really afford to be a lot more aggressive and target fixtures early.
Love that. This is why we got you on the channel, John. That's the
Absolutely.
type of, you know, that's top draw. That's top draw, that is.
We love that.
I'm starting to feel like an expert. I am starting to feel like an expert.
John, so what are the 3 most common mistakes that FPL players make?
I'd say the first 3 that come to mind are not playing the fixtures, so picking guys who are great players, but if they've got really horrible fixtures, that's tough. You know, if you've got Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal in your first 4, which I don't think anyone has, but if you've got those 4 over the first 8 games, you probably don't want to target that team regardless of who they are. You want to be going for teams who are playing the promoted teams, or mid to lower table teams. So playing the fixtures is something that people overlook. A huge thing people do is they have sort of bias towards their own team, so they'll pick players from their own team to support. For FPL, if you actually want to win, I mean, if you're playing it for fun, go ahead, have a ball, but if you actually want to win, you really need to detach yourself from your club, because you might love your guy from your club, but like, let's say you're an Everton fan and you like Calvert-Lewin, you know, he's probably not a great pick for the start of the season, to be honest, and you're only disadvantaging yourself. And the last thing, I suppose, from a really basic level that people always do is, it's almost like the Kante thing, where whenever Kante was, you know, his name was thrown out there for Ballon d'Ors, he was incredible what he was doing at Chelsea, won the league with Leicester, won the league with Chelsea. He's still a shit FPL player. You know, he isn't built for the game.
No.
You know, he's an incredible player, and it's the same for a lot of central defensive midfielders. There's no real way for them to get points.
No.
Rodri at Man City, you don't want them. Fabinho at Liverpool, you really don't want them. Even though they can be really good players, they're not going to score goals often enough. They're not going to get assists. Because they're a midfielder, they're not going to get you clean sheet points. So realistically, they're really poor scorers, even though in your head they're absolute ballers.
Yeah,
so those are probably 3 really common mistakes.
The Matrix just doesn't suit those sort of players, does it?
No, not at all. Wing backs, even centre backs, you know, can do well because of the clearance blocks and interceptions. They might get some bonus points if they get a headed goal or something. But yeah, central defensive midfielders is probably the worst position on the pitch in FPL.
Okay, so John, they're players you definitely should not have. Can you give me one player that every single person needs to have in their starting 11?
So there's two. I think Salah and Trent this season. Liverpool come out the block with great fixtures. Salah's going to be owned through the roof. He's going to be captained by almost everyone, playing Fulham in game week 1. And Trent at 7.5 million is just a no-brainer. I think he was the third highest scoring player in the game last year.
Wow.
Might have been fourth, but I think he was just behind Salah and Son, who both cost 13 and 12 million respectively.
Sure.
Trent's coming in at 7.5, and he was the third highest scoring player. Yeah, nothing else he'd said. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Salah, you need them, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, as you know, what I've talked about a little bit, I'm a big player kind of guy. So, are we going Kane or are we going Holland?
This is an impossible one. I'll go off on a short spiel. I think Kane is a much more proven asset in FPL. I think I actually am leaning towards Kane. But the problem is that everyone in the game is going Holland. It's the Magpie effect. Everyone wants him because he's new and shiny. And he is incredible, and he is the first real out-and-out striker that City have had in a few years, and we know how dominant they've been. For me, there's a few worries with Holland. We've seen the likes of Timo Werner, Sebastian Haller. There is actually way more than that. Even remember Luka Jovic. I know he went to Real Madrid and not the Premier League, but guys who've actually absolutely slaughtered it in the Bundesliga, who haven't stepped up at the Premier League or in other sort of top 5 leagues in Europe. That's one thing. Haaland's injury record is absolutely shocking. It genuinely is not good reading. So that's another reason. And then the last reason, I think it's just the how unproven it is on Pep Roulette. You know, I know Haaland if fit should play, but equally it wouldn't surprise me with the 5 subs coming in this year if he's only getting 60 minutes in the first game, or broken in off the bench. So for me, I think Kane is the safer option. But the problem that people have to weigh up is Kane, if he scores well for you, he's much lower ownership, so you will propel up the rankings. But if Kane dies and Haaland scores 2, you're in the gutter, because everyone has Haaland. So you could go both. You're going to find it hard to have Salah in your team then, which I think is a mistake. You could have all 3, but then the rest of your team is going to suffer big time. So there's no answer really. It's kind of everything has its risk, which is brilliant, and I pray neither of them get injured because it's this type of variation that makes the game interesting. Otherwise, everyone will just have the same team. Okay, John. So you've slightly touched on the opening fixtures. Is there one certain team or a couple of teams we should be targeting because their opening 6 fixtures are just tasty? So the big way to kind of work out who has good fixtures, there's all these tools out there on different sites. I'm working with FantasyFootballHub now. Bit of a plug here. If you like what I'm saying, find it on YouTube, but I've used their fixture ticker tool. I think the thing with fixtures is, there's all these tools out there like ticker tools, and they kind of show you who's a good fixture and who's a bad fixture for defenses and lineups. I'm using Fantasy Football Hub's one here, and according to theirs, the best team in terms of looking at the first 6 game weeks, the best fixtures are for Liverpool, then Wolves, then Man City, then we've got Brentford, Spurs and Brighton, then Arsenal and Chelsea. So they're kind of the teams at the top with nice fixtures. For example, Liverpool in their first 6, they've got Fulham, Palace, Bournemouth and Newcastle. There is a game against United, who haven't been amazing recently. New manager, we'll see how that one goes. And then if you look at Wolves, they've got Fulham, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Southampton, Leeds as well. Man City have Bournemouth, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest and Villa. I'll not go through them all, but that's why Liverpool guys like Salah and Trent are so essential. And even for the likes of Man City, you probably do need a Haaland or a De Bruyne, and you definitely need the likes of a Cancelo in my opinion. So targeting those fixtures is absolutely imperative.
And on the flip side, it's absolutely curtains for Bournemouth. Bournemouth are in trouble after the first 6 games. Bournemouth are in trouble.
Newcastle have tough fixtures after the opening game week. They've Nottingham, but then they've got City and Liverpool in 2 of the next 4. Then you've got Fulham down the bottom, West Ham and Palace have the worst fixtures. They've got Liverpool and Man City and Arsenal in their first 4 games, which is rough.
Yeah, Bournemouth, welcome to the Premier League. It's like Norwich, they get it every year. Horrible start of the season.
They did alright with it one year though, didn't they? Was it Man City they beat?
3-2, yeah. So John, there's quite a big debate going around sort of in relation to the £8 million midfielders, the likes of Foden, Maddison, Mount, Kulusevski to name a few. Who's the top pick out of those ones then, John?
This is an interesting one, right? Because I think it's a debate because no one really knows what's going to happen. I think if I look at it, Maddison was on fire last season. The numbers he was putting up were insane across the board. But when I actually look at it, I think based on fixtures, based on Mane leaving, I think Luis Diaz is set here to be amazing value at 8 million. in seasons gone by, Salah and Mane have both been around that 11, 12, 13 million mark, and Salah's normally like a million more or half a million more. I think even 1 year they were the same price. So that's essentially Liverpool's left winger going from a 10 million plus player to 8 million. And I know they're not the same player, and I'm not saying Luis Diaz is as good as Mane, but like he's in the position in the right team with the right fixtures, and he's shown that he stepped up when he signed in January. So I think he could come in here and do really well. I think the likes of Kulusevski and Foden are maybe too prone to rotation now. Richarlison coming into Spurs, Foden part of Pep Roulette. Mount didn't really do it last year, unfortunately. He had his moments. I say he didn't really do it. Off the top of my head, I'm not reading this. I have a feeling he got like 11 goals and 11 assists. I could be making that up. He kind of maybe flew under the radar a bit for me. But Mahrez, Pep Roulette, Saka could be good. For me, long-winded answer, if I had to pick one to score the most points, I'm going to pick Luis Diaz.
Yeah, fair. I think, you've got to be an idiot to disagree with that at this point. John, if you have a little look on your Insta, mate, I've sent through mine and Bash's teams. If you want to just give them a little look and rate, and we can kind of go through them. We'll get some of Bash's justification for his absolute head loss with a lot of his decisions.
Okay, one of these teams is getting ripped to shreds. The other one I like a little bit more. Who has Ederson in goal? We'll start with this one.
That's me.
That's you. So this team looks solid. So you're in the gutter there. So Ederson in goal, good choice. Foden I like. I should start from the back, I suppose. So Trent, James, Robertson, you're doing what I mentioned. You've got that big at the back thing that everyone's doing. Nico Williams will get game time, nice bench option. Tomiyasu, nice bench option. As I said, you've went for like 4.5 million kind of cheap guys, so you're enabling budget for further up the pitch. You've got Andreas as your enabler, who's the kind of guy everyone's going for. One thing I would consider here is maybe your goalkeeper Raya. I'd drop him to a 4 million because you're realistically going to be playing Ederson every single week. There's not going to be a week you don't play Ederson. So Raya, you would probably drop him to a 4 million, then you've $500,000 in the bank. What you do with that, you've a few. You have a few options. So in midfield, you've Rashford, looks like great value. Watch him in pre-season. Odegaard I love. I think he's beautiful to watch, incredible. The only thing I consider from an FPL standpoint, unless you think he's going to get less minutes, unless you think he isn't nailed, Martinelli you would save $500,000 there, who is probably a higher goal threat if he starts, but maybe Odegaard's slightly more nailed than an assist threat. But already there...
Yeah, Odegaard will be integral as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm big on Odegaard this year. It's just that $500,000. Luis Diaz, I love. Foden, if he plays, I love. Jesus and Kane, absolutely love them both. Wilson, what I would maybe do is, honestly, I would probably drop Wilson for like a 4.5 million forward. I would swap Raya out, which means you're picking up an extra $500,000. I'd think about that Odegaard thing, and then with that extra money, I'd probably upgrade Nico Williams or Tomiyasu to the likes of a Cancelo. And then once you've done that, I think you have an absolute belter team.
Unreal. I'll
take
it.
What would you rate it out of 10?
What would I rate it out of 10? I think that's a really solid start. I think that's a good. I don't think 10s exist. At least they look like 10s once game week one's happened, but leading up to it, I don't think a 10 exists. So I think it would give this a solid 7.5, 8. We'll give it 8.
I'll take it.
Okay. You're not going to like your rating.
Go on, pepper me, fire away.
All right. So Alisson, I get it. It's a nice pick, but the problem is you're blocking yourself up the pitch if you wanted. So the problem with picking the likes of a Liverpool goalkeeper, and even a Man City one to some extent, is that you might want the likes of Robertson, Luis Diaz here. You might want to get Salah in at some stage. You're going to want to keep Trent, and you've blocked yourself from the triple up outfield. Do you know what I mean? So now you've got Firmino, Trent, and Alisson. If you wanted to bring Salah in or Luis Diaz, you just can't without 2 transfers. So Alisson is going to block you, but still good pick, good choice, good keeper. Reece James is great. Romero, there might be better value in a wing back because of the goal threat, but maybe if you think Romero is going to get on the end of a few crosses, okay. Well, I don't know what he's actually worth in the game. If he's more than 5 million, definitely get rid of him. If he's 5 million, I kind of get it, but maybe.
You remember how much he was?
I can't remember.
Maybe Perisic is better value. St. Maximin, again, he's a baller. He's really fun to watch. I kind of like it. Check out Bruno Guimaraes as well. Just in case he's cheaper. I think there might be $500,000 in it, but I could be wrong. Kulusevski, I love. Richarlison's in. You need to watch the minutes. Be careful. He was great last season. If he's going to play, I like the pick. But the problem is rotation potentially with Richarlison because Son's not getting dropped and neither's Kane.
True.
Grealish, got loads of minutes. I think it was the most minutes any new signing of Pep's has got in their first season. Projected to get more next season. Sterling is out the door, but Foden will be competing for that spot. So again, he's not exactly resistant to Pep Roulette, and I think he will probably get 60 to 70 minutes most games with the 5 sub rule. But still, we all love Grealish, amazing. Ward-Prowse, maybe check the fixtures. The thing with Ward-Prowse is, there might be better options in terms of distributing that wealth back into your defence, in terms of nailed options. The problem with Ward-Prowse is he just doesn't play for a very good team, but he will take all set pieces, and he's probably the best in the league at them. So it's, again, a fun pick. This is a really fun team. It's not optimal from like an FPL standpoint, but in terms of like enjoying the game, I actually really like it. Like, you're going to watch games and enjoy them. Because there is a chance he'll pop any free kick in. St. Maximin will look beautiful on the ball. Grealish carries the ball really well. And then when we go up top, Firmino's a howler, to be honest. That's the biggest howler of the whole team. Because you're blocking that Liverpool spot, and he's nowhere near nailed, Unless you think he's going to play and Darwin isn't, that's fine. But Kane is fun. Kane's amazing, sorry. Ronaldo's fun. Proven, 10.5 million.
If he stays,
I don't know. Check out Gabriel Jesus for a couple of million of a saving. If you brought in maybe Gabriel there, are you a United fan?
I'm a Spurs fan, so that's a no-go. That is a no-go.
All right, so that's okay. So like, I get you now. That's maybe why there's a lack of Arsenal. But Ronaldo's a ballsy call. He does have Brighton. He could score a hat-trick. I think Firmino's the pick here that needs going.
Okay.
And in terms of bench options, Gilmore, if he gets the transfer, where was he rumoured to go to?
Everton.
If he goes to Everton, he'll get game time. Cody might cost a little bit much to rot in your bench. Maybe change him to like a 4 million defender, 4.5 million. And then Dragger, he's okay, I suppose, but maybe Nico Williams a better pick. And then Areola, check his price, make sure he's 4 million because you're never playing him. If he's 4.5, get rid of him.
Okay, give me a rating out of 10.
I think I have to give you a 6 here. Ward-Prowse, Firmino, St. Maximin, Grealish, they're all not quite template. They're not what people are going for. Even Romero, I don't know if I said him. Your bench as well. I think you're going to come in at a 6, and I feel bad giving you that because it's a fun team. 10 out of 10 for fun.
It's all right.
10 out of 10 for fun.
Okay, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Just a bit of fun. Okay, perfect.
I think that wraps things up, John, nicely. Thanks ever so much for that, and thanks for your input as well.
No worries. Look, thanks a million for having me, lads. Best of luck this season, and it'd be interesting to see if those 2 drafts make it to game week 1 or if you tinker.
Yeah, no. I mean, do you think there's some sort of... I mean, obviously you back yourself, John. Is there some sort of fun wager we could have BTB versus FPL Expert here? Something on the line?
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll all do a comparison of our points at the end of the season. I'll be quite keen on that. We competed last year, right, John?
We did. I have a forfeit that I'm putting out to anyone who wants a forfeit against me. I didn't brief you on this, so I don't know if you have the balls for it, but I'm going to throw it out here.
Go on.
What I'm basically saying, I'm backing myself this year to beat everyone. So if I lose to you two, if 1v2, if either of you beat me, I will get the Aaron Lennon, the shaved eyebrow into the hair. And if I win and neither of you beat me, both of you have to get it.
Oh my...
Ooh, what do you reckon?
I don't know if there's much value in that bet because you're the expert.
There's 2 of you though, 2v1 lad.
Yeah, I know. I'm just not sure the old job front would be too happy with that.
What do you reckon? I think everyone should let us know down below whether we should take it or not.
Yeah.
Jordan's not about it.
But no, yeah, perfect. John, are you okay to send us your team at the end? We'll put it on the screen so everyone can copy it.
Yep.
and then they'll finish the same position.
Yeah, and then we've all got slits in our eyebrows. But no, that was massively helpful.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Thank you so much for
I maybe dug a little bit too nerdy, but look, hopefully people got something out of it from an FPL standpoint. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to DM me.
Yeah,
love that. But thanks again, buddy. And we will catch up with you around about the World Cup when I've built a nice little lead above you, and I'll give you some pointers.
Oh, I can't wait to shave your eyebrow.
And try not to melt in the sun, mate, as well. Keep yourself cool.
It's Ireland. Don't worry, there's enough rain to keep me cool. Cheers, lads.
Good.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Nice one, John.
Cheers, John.
Take care, mate.
See you, buddy. Okay, guys. Big thanks to John for joining us there. I hope you guys got some tips when making your FPL team. I know we did. We've got some big changes to make, put it that way.
Bash more than me, but we're running our very own Beyond the Ball League. We done it last year, big success. If you want to join, we're going to pop the league code in here. You can find yourself competing against the likes of me, Bash, boring I know, John Nellis, a couple of professional footballers. See how you get on, fair against the best.
It's going to be great fun. Make sure you come and join us. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment down below. We have got some bangers coming and we're here to stay. See you all very soon.